Hey everybody, Bill here from holidayslane.com, and today I am going to make one of my sequin Easter eggs, and I thought I would share it with you all from start to finish. So it usually takes somewhere between an hour and a half for me to finish one of my 3-inch eggs. So feel free to sit back, relax, enjoy, and watch. So the items that I have that I'm going to be using today are my foam eggs that are 3 inches. I'm using an 8mm slightly cupped sequins in a color called metallic peach. This one's really pretty. I also have my seed beads in gold. These are a 10-0 glass bead. And then I prefer 3/4 inch sequin pins. They do come in 1/2 inch, but because they're so short, sometimes they tend to pop out of the eggs a little bit more so than the 3/4 inch. You can, when you're making these, use glue. I actually don't, again, because of the size of the sequin pins that I use. So it's just the sequence on the egg for me. If you want to go ahead and use glue, you certainly can. My suggestion is I love soda bottle caps because you can pour a little bit out of it and use that then to dip the sequin pin into. Just makes it easier to do that, but I'm not using glue today. Sequin eggs for Holidays Lanes are available sort of 3 different ways. So obviously I make these and then I put them up when they're finished. I have one over here. So these would be available in the shop at holidayslane.com, ready made, ready to go. I do have also custom listings available, somewhere around 45 different sequin colors. So you can pick what it is that you want. If you don't see it already in the shop, I'll make it for you and send it to you. And then option 3 is a DIY sequin egg kit. You pick the color. I collect all these ingredients, if you will, and send it off to you along with illustrated instructions. And then you'll basically do what I do here, is just make it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this egg here, and nobody's on the channel, and that's absolutely fine. So if you are watching this after the fact and you have any questions, feel free to post them, and I will be more than happy to answer. And I'm just going to keep on going ahead then. So thank you for watching, everybody. There's a bunch of different ways that you can start with your glass beads here. I love this. It's a fairly deep cup, but what it lets me do is kind of scoop in to get the, I don't know how well you guys can see this or not, but there's that tiny little glass bead. These are really small, and they're hard to get on the pin sometimes. So if I swoop it in, and then that way, if I get an extra one, I can just knock off the ones I don't want. But you want one glass bead on your sequin pin, and then you thread it into the hole on the sequins. So they're called slightly cupped sequins because they have these little sort of ridges in it that kind of make it look like a plate, I guess you could call it. So the way I put the sequins on is so that the raised part is going to be facing out, almost like it's hugging the foam egg. That also makes sure, or it does a better job of hiding the white foam underneath, because you can layer them on top of each other, almost like a fish scale, if you will. So you just sort of put the first one on, and then you basically keep going around and around and around, going further and further until you're done. I do overlap them just a little bit. Each of these sequins has sort of, again, I don't know how well you can see this here. You can kind of see in the reflection that there's these edges to the sequence, and there's 6 of them. So that's about where I overlap the sequin over top of the one under it to cover it up that way. And again, my goal, well, there's 2 goals that I have whenever I make them. Goal number 1 is I prefer to see no white through the sequins. So I make sure to have it covered completely. And then also, I'm a little bit anal retentive. And my goal is to make the lines as straight and even as possible, so that as it goes down the side, you have an even ring of sequins. There are some ones that I get partway through and they look a little wonky, and frankly I end up just tossing that one usually, because it just bugs me, and that's not the kind of um, egg that I want to put out there. Um, it certainly takes a lot of practice and a lot of time to do that. So if you order one of my DIY kits, then most likely you're not going to be quite as perfect, and that's absolutely fine too. Because frankly, as long as the egg is covered and you're sitting it in a dish or in a basket or on your Easter table, they look just fine. Nobody's really looking at how even it is or it is not spread out. As long as it's covered, it's in a color that you like, it's in a sequin finish that you like. That's all that matters. I know nobody's in the room right now. Hopefully you all can hear me. Hopefully the mic is working fine. If not, I've been talking for a while and nobody can hear, so I'll check this out later after I'm done going live. And if the sound is good, then I'll probably leave it up, or maybe I'll just throw up some subtitles on it and put it up that way. So we have our first couple rows done on this egg. Sorry, the reflection's really bright on here. So it's a little tough to get the color. Uh, it says peach, but it almost has a copper look to it. There's a little bit of orange to the gold. I actually have a couple, a true gold. And then there's also this other color that's an Aztec gold. That's like an orangey gold. And then the metallic peach that I think looks like copper. So when this is finished, it's going to look really, really nice. So you can see I am using my finger to push into the foam. There are some people that that's not the fun part for them because it starts hurting their thumb. And again, I go back to the soda bottle where you can put it in just a little bit there, and then you can use the soda bottle cap to do the final push in, and that will certainly help save your thumb over time. I don't really like using a thimble because I still need to be able to use my fingers to both grab the sequin pin and make sure that the glass bead gets on the sequin pins. I find it difficult to use a thimble and do both of those. So instead of taking it on and off, it's you can just keep that handy, and then use that if your thumb or if your finger starts hurting to just push it in. You don't want to go. You don't want to go too far. You just want to go until it stops, and then you're good. The nice thing about making these sequin eggs are coloring, like adult coloring books became really popular. Puzzles became very popular because people just like to not think about things and keep busy, keep their hands moving. And this is something that doesn't take a tremendous amount of skill to do. It just takes time. And you have to slow down a little bit and not think about things. It's just enough for you to focus on the egg, but nothing that's too complex. That's really nice. It's almost therapeutic. Um, and I know sometimes online people will order my Christmas ornament kits, and they'll order a bunch of them, and then either they have a family night, or they'll invite friends over and they'll do like a girls' craft night. Have a couple glasses of wine and make their ornaments. So the eggs are certainly something that you can do as a family as well. I wouldn't go too young with kids on this because small parts, very small glass beads, and very sharp, pointy sequin pins. But if you have older kids, it's certainly something that they could do. Have them pick out their favorite color from the assortment, and then they can, make their eggs. And then you can pull it out year after year and add it to your Easter decor. When I am making my eggs for the shop, I generally have either music playing in the background or I'll have something um, streaming online, either a movie or a TV show. Uh, since I'm live here and all that copyright stuff, not something I could do in this demo, but that's what I would normally be doing. Now, the other thing that is interesting or a bit of a challenge to deal with on these eggs is the sequins are 8 millimeter. That doesn't change, but the circumference of the egg does because it goes from smaller, thick, and then smaller again. So sometimes you just have to pay attention to maybe doing a little more overlap from the bottom sequins um, in order to get it to cover correctly. So this one here, I might want to scooch over a little bit and go closer to the other pin than I might in other rows. And that just helps not only for the row you're on, but actually the row that you will do next after that. There's also all sorts of different kinds of finishes to sequins, not just the size and not just the color. So this one here, I've chosen a metallic color. And what that means is it's very shiny, very reflective, but it is just one color, one solid color. There are also iridescent sequins, and that is going to have some different properties depending on how the light hits it when it's reflecting. Sometimes there's some gold to it, sometimes pinks. It just depends on the underlying color and um, what other colors it brings out when the light hits it. There are satin and glossy sequins, and those are ones that are also just solid colors. They're just not shiny. And then if you want to go ridiculously sparkly, then you get a hologram sequins. And hologram sequins have these little flecks of almost like rainbow confetti um, embedded in it that catch the light in addition to the shininess. It also has these little specks of light, which are really pretty. So we're about 20 minutes in right now, and I talked for the first 5 minutes or so, and we're not even halfway done. So that's how long each egg takes. Pretty much right on schedule. Just knocked out one of the lights. Let's see if that's any better here. There we go, coming along nicely. When I do craft fairs in the area and I have my sequin ornaments and my eggs out, inevitably somebody always says that their grandmother used to make them, their aunt, their mother, their sister, they remember doing it with them. It's really nice to hear that these ornaments and eggs and things can bring back those warm childhood memories. It's definitely a bit of a dying art because I know that a lot of the supplies that I need to make these eggs even are becoming harder and harder to find. These 3/4 inch gold sequin pins that are available in my Etsy shop, as far as I know, there's only one manufacturer left that makes them in the 3/4 inch in gold anymore. So since they're so hard to find, that's why I buy in wholesale and then make them available for other crafters. So if 3/4 inch gold sequin pins or something that you are looking for, I do have them. And that's just, well, you could go either to holidayslane.com, and on my homepage, there's a link to my supply section, or you could look up Holidays Lane directly on Etsy. Either way. What's interesting about these for me is I tend not to finish one in a single sitting. Um, you probably can't see it because of the light there. There. It catches it a little bit. There's a line right there. And a lot of times I consider that to be the halfway mark. So sometimes I'll go down to that line and then I kind of get bored with the color and then I want to start another one. So I'll have 4 or 5 of these going, at the same time and just cycle through different colors because I do get bored a little easily. But it is exciting, after you cross that line, just how quickly it comes together. And it also has a very different feel to it. The foam egg shape is very lightweight, very lightweight. And it takes a little while for the weight to build up with the sequins, but at some point, I don't know, it just changes. It feels different. And that's that could be exciting because you know you're getting close to it being finished, and changes for the egg, which is fun. This egg that I'm doing here is just going to be the one color. It's just going to be the metallic peach. But I do have other eggs that are striped, some other eggs that have a base of sequins, and then there are sequin flowers that are added on top of them. You can get really creative with what you're doing with your eggs. I haven't done too many that are 3 or 4 color, but I have a couple. And then this right here is a like an egg holder. Um, I do sell these in my shop as well. They are um, just display stands for the eggs. I really like them as I'm working because otherwise, they end up rolling away. So it just helps keep them in place. And for that, you can use just about anything to help prevent that roll. I guess you could technically use again my my bottle cap, but not my favorite. We have about 3 more rows until we get to the middle line, the egg equator, if you will. Now I'm doing it where it's 1 row at a time. If like I said, sometimes I get impatient and I just want to see what it looks like, particularly if I'm using a new color sequin and I want to see what it's going to look like. Then sometimes you can go ahead and jump to do a couple rows at a go. hard to get these out, so. Sometimes if the pins in the box are laying flat, I'll just stir them up a little bit, then it just helps make it easier to pick the pin up one at a time. And with that one there, we just hit the midpoint of the egg. You can certainly see how it's starting to come together now. And again, this, nothing very difficult about this. Just take some time. So we're about 36 minutes in. And again, I talked for the first 5 of that, so we're about half hour in and not quite halfway finished, which is pretty much, again, on par with how long it takes to make these. It's usually between an hour and an hour and a half. Just depends. So we're on track. And doing a couple rows at a time versus just one, I don't know, it feels like you're getting it done faster, even though you're taking about the same amount of time. It just, looks more impressive when you get a couple rows. I also think I'm doing fairly well on getting, just one glass bead on at a time. I haven't had to do too many um, removals. That's kind of rare for me. Usually I get several on at a time. If you're watching this after the live is done, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments there. I will probably still leave this up at regular speed, so however long it takes to make an egg. I don't think I will speed up the recording. Since it's not so much a tutorial as much as watch me work. So maybe you have your own egg and you're working along with me. That's fine. It's not a race. if you're just joining now, I am making one of my 3-inch sequin and beaded Easter eggs using a metallic peach colored sequins. And they call it peach, but I think it looks like copper, but what do I know? I guess maybe there is a little more orange in it than a copper, but it's close enough. How do I get 2 of those on there? We're getting there. You can almost see the other side. Oops. That one got away. We said it before, but it's worth saying again. This is very calming and very relaxing. So if you have a stressful day, this is a fun, good thing to break out and just slow life down for a little bit, and eventually it just clears your mind. Really good mental health activity. I think we could all use that at some time or another. Getting close. Probably two more, and then we will be at the halfway mark. Okay, we are halfway done. Trying to get a better sense of the color there. Oops. That's it so far. All right. Let's just finish up the bottom then, and we will be done and good to go. Usually after I've finished a couple Easter eggs, that's when I go and photograph them and add them to the Etsy shop. I have two others that I have photographed and I have to create the listings for. So probably when I'm done with this one, I will run over into the other room, which is where I have my photography backdrop set up, photograph this, and then all three will go live online, available for purchase. This color, the Aztec Gold, don't know if I have them added yet to my DIY egg kits. Because I just ordered and received these colors. So if it's something you want to try yourself and you don't see it in the drop down, just shoot me a message if I don't remember to go and add this color to the available colors to pick from. I'm always on the hunt for unique and different types of colors. So it's not the average thing that you can walk into a Michael's or a Joann's. You go in there, you can get gold, silver, green, blue, just solid like that. Definitely lean more towards some of the iridescent colors because it really, like I said, as it hits the light, it reflects some really unique colors, and those are the ones that I get most excited about. If you're thinking about getting eggs for yourself for Easter table centerpiece, I do have a blog as well. that is linked to from holidayslane.com. Right now I have 2 articles up. One is using sequin eggs and crystal candlesticks as part of your Easter table display. And then I have another article that talks about using a cake plate in addition to sequin Easter eggs for your Easter table centerpiece. And some really fun ideas in there. I know not everybody does formal dinners anymore, so the chance of having lots and lots of crystal candlesticks are probably kind of low or few and far between for most people. But nowadays, because it's not quite as big, you can head over to a thrift store and get a bunch of candlesticks pretty cheaply. Usually about $2 a candlestick. So you get a really nice assortment. I'm probably going to do a video about that for the channel. So if that's something you want to see, let me know in comments as well. Time to fluff the pins again. Okay, they got everywhere this time. Oops, got 2 on that one. If you are thinking about getting a bunch of these sequin eggs for yourself for your decor, I do recommend getting them in odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7. There's a bunch of different color combinations that you can think about. So if you have your favorite Easter tablecloth or a runner, or maybe you have some special dinnerware that you only break out at the holidays, you can get complimentary egg colors that match exactly what you have in your other decor pieces. Or you can just go, really eclectic and sort of get one of everything and just mix it all together. If you want it to be a little more cohesive, you could get, all metallic sequins, or you could get all pastel sequins. Or again, you can mix them up and do some holograms, some metallic, some pastel, some iridescent, and just go really go wild. Or you could go, you could get a bunch of shades of pink. So you get 4 or 5 different pinks that give you a bit of a monochromatic kind of look to your decor. We are getting close to the end here. Only a couple more rows to go. I usually step back a little bit because when you're doing your last sequin on a row, it ends up being on top of 2 different ones. So I don't like having them in the same spot going down. I like to have it kind of staggered throughout so it's not quite as noticeable. I don't know. What's the word? Idiosyncrasy of mine. But the closer you get to the bottom, that's also where you can run into a little bit of difficulty again because you have your 8 millimeter circumference sequin that doesn't change, but the circumference of the egg does. So you don't have as much room to play with sometimes to make them fit. We're coming up on an hour, so it's actually going pretty quickly considering where we are with the egg. Need a quick drink there. Okay, back at it. And you'll see as we get closer to the bottom, it's going to go faster and faster to get each row done. So we will be finished before you know it. Two more for that row. All right, just a little bit more to go, and we'll be done. And when I get this close to the end, I definitely do one row at a time. I don't try to do two or three like I did in the middle section. Have to be a little more careful when you're finishing up. Just because the spacing of the sequins gets a little bit harder to do when you get down here. Oops. Okay. So if you want to see more of these, let me know in comments, and I'll be happy to make some more. If there's a color egg you want to see, let me know that too. I'm guessing two more rings after this, and then the final center cap. But we'll see. It's a little hard to tell how many sequins go on each of these, just because I think I guess to move over a little bit. It might vary depending on how much space you give in between each sequins. How many per row or how many in total, but it's somewhere around 220 sequins go into each of the eggs. In the kits, I usually give 250 sequins. I'd rather have with a couple left over than not enough. And when I do them, I just pour them out, and then whatever I don't use, I put back in my container. Okay. And this is where you really have to pay attention. So make sure it's fully covered. And ideally even as well. Sometimes the very end, I only need one sequin. Sometimes I need two. Sometimes I need three. Just depends on how much space is left. And that's really, unfortunately, based on the very first sequin that I put on. There is a little mark on most of these that are supposed to be in the dead center. I don't think they're always dead center. Sometimes they seem to be just a little bit off, which really doesn't have a noticeable impact until you get to the very, very, very end. So it's still pretty well squared off. So sometimes I use the mark, sometimes I just eyeball it, whatever feels right. Okay, a couple more for this row. I'm getting there. Yep. Perfect. More. Okay. You see just a little bit more to go. These out a little bit wider, and then I'm going to do the final one there. So on this one, I have just a tiny bit still showing. So these are, in this case, I am going to use a little bit of Elmer's glue, just because there's not going to be quite as much of a contact with the pin into the foam. So this is just going to be sort of keeping everything in place. Pop that last one in. It's going to go in perfectly. Okay, there we go then. We have finished a 3-inch handmade sequin Easter egg in metallic peach. So let me know if you like watching this, and if you want me to make more. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to subscribe so that when new videos come out, it lets you know. Have a good day, everybody.